Welcome to this week's meeting of Essex Business. I'm Adrian Farr, I'm your chairman. It's my job to get you through the meeting, or rather through the agenda of the meeting. I'm sure the rest you can do yourself. I am, in doing so, ably assisted by the leadership team. Could I ask them to be upstanding and introduce themselves to the meeting, please?
Good morning, everybody. I'm Terry, and Guild Membership and Recruitment.
Good morning, Scott, your meeting secretary, and that bloke that does live chat. Thank you.
And Ben Golding is not the Education and Development Officer. He's unfortunately suspected he's got COVID, so he's staying away. And I'll be standing in for him today. Okay, without more ado, or after the ado, we'll move on to the meeting itself. First up is the performance fee. Scott.
Well, we're 3 weeks in to March. This one, I think if I'm right, is the last one that we'll record for the month, so it's your chance just to make those last minute adjustments. Well, I'm really, really pleased to say that I think over half of the group have achieved more than that benchmark we set of 80-odd points, 88 points in a month. So well done to all of you on the top half of the table, because that's what we're trying to achieve. Everybody scoring a minimum of at least 88 points in a month. Top positions, give you the top three. In third is Colin, 125, whatever it is. So well done, Colin, on third. Second place, 159, is Nick. So Nick's doing very well. Not quite as well as our leader on 183 points, which is Paul. So well done to you lot. I'll pass it around, take a look, see where you are. Congrats to everyone above 88.
Toby, are you doing the edge block today?
I didn't think I was.
No? I thought I'd give that free sort of Paul.
Yeah, just thinking.
So, today's edge slot is on attendance and non-attendance. So, reasons why we want good attendance is, first of all, it creates a better meeting, you get a better buzz about the meeting. Secondly, of course, if you attend more, chances are you get more referrals. Thirdly, you can actually pass more referrals on. A lot of that's to do with the informal networking beforehand. You can offer a quick little chat about something which can lead to extra business being passed. So, first of all, as a basic, everyone should block out their Thursday morning meetings in their diary, for the next year or continuously. That's the starter. That way you're not tempted to book an emergency meeting and then suddenly you realise, hold on, shouldn't have done that, I've got EBF that day. So as a minimum, just try and block your diaries out on your calendar or your Outlook or whatever. Obviously there are really good reasons why someone can't attend. Illness, of course, cold, obviously no one wants to get a cold, or possibly COVID. Could be a appointment at the hospital, it could be someone very close to you, could be picking up kids you can't can't change. It could be a really important meeting that you just can't change. Some people have to have a meeting, it's got to go ahead on the Thursday morning at that time. But a lot of the time, in terms of booking up meetings, try and do your best to avoid booking up a time that sort of conflicts with a Thursday morning meeting. Obviously we do want as best attendance as possible. So hopefully if you follow those guidelines, that will help to get better attendance. Scott?
If people tell us they're on holiday, they don't lose points.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. If you're just absent, I don't know, you lose points for not being here. If I know you're not here because you have genuine medical reason or it's a holiday, then the points are just zeroed. You don't gain anything, you don't lose it. So drop the or Aidan.
So if we tell you on holiday, we're just in bed. Does that mean that we've
Depends on my discretion and how much you've blanked it.
Thank you, Paul. Once you've started blocking out the third day, after you've done it for a little while, it's blocked out in your head, and that's what we really want to get around to. Okay, the business card box I'm sending round. Make sure you're adequately represented in there with the cards. Vince will insist that you all have them, so there you go. And also take anything that you need for making referrals. As far as attendance is concerned, today's good. We have 22 in all, and given that the other absences are largely through sickness or illness or feeling they shouldn't come in to pass anything on, good attendance today, and hopefully when we all start not passing on things, we'll have even more. Hannah is back again. She decided to brave it for a second time round. Welcome. Hope you enjoy the meeting and are a bit more orientated after last week. Right, let's move now, seamlessly, almost, to the 60-second round. Your chance to highlight your business, but only in 60 seconds. Stuart is our timekeeper today, and he will indicate after 50 seconds with a ding, and after 60 seconds with a ding ding. It's nice to see you bring some authority to the yeah. Right, let's get on with the 60-second round. Mike Rogers was the winner. He's brought him back, and he's going to hand it over today to the one that he judges the best.
Save me listening to anybody. The Oscar today will be awarded to whoever passes the largest denomination banknote in one direction.
Did you take cards?
Glad that we've got that sorted out. Let's so Mike, you'll be first, and you'll be followed by Kieran. Off you go.
Good morning, everybody. I have some advice for you this morning, which might take around 60 seconds, but as I can't win the Oscar, I don't care. Now, a lot of you here have had your mortgage arranged by me, or you're very sensible and you're already on a fixed rate mortgage. So you're thinking that the fact that the base rate has gone up by 0.5% in the last month or so doesn't affect you at all. And to a degree, you're right, it doesn't. However, in reality, a 0.5% change in the base rate would affect your mortgage payments by £42 per month per £100,000 worth of mortgage. So work that out on your own mortgage. Up until 2008, when we had a recession, that somebody thought would be a good idea, the average mortgage rate was 5 to 5.5%. If the base rate continues to rise over the next few months or years, and we get back to 5.5%, you would have to be finding another £270 a month per £100,000 worth of mortgage. So I've got some advice for you this morning. Doing that again and come. All mortgage lenders, or most mortgage lenders, allow you to make overpayments. So every time the base rate increases by 0.5%, your payments don't need to change. Phone your lender and say, I want to make an overpayment of an extra £40 a month. That way you get used to paying more as it goes up, so when you get to the end of your fixed rate, it doesn't suddenly jump up. But also when you get to the end of your fixed rate, all those overpayments will have come off the bottom line, so you actually have a much smaller mortgage from then on. That's good advice, isn't it? Thank you very much. And I'm going to be all the
You see, we just don't make him grumpy, do we? We just got to let him do it. If everybody else wants to take 5 seconds off their 60 seconds, it should even itself out by the time we get around there. Right, thank you, Mike. Kieran, you're next, and you're followed by Richard Reed.
Good morning everybody, I'm Kieran Peaty and I'm the Group's Architect, and I just want to start by saying how absolutely lovely it is to be back and to see all the familiar faces and new faces as well, so welcome. As I say, I'm the Group's Architect. My company is Studio 40 and we are a design-led RIBA chartered practice serving Essex, London and the surrounding areas. And what makes us different is that we do not come to any site with preconceived design solutions or styles. We judge every site and client on their merits and we design solutions accordingly. We don't work for clients, ultimately we collaborate with you. It's about understanding your motivations, your objectives and what you're trying to achieve and providing you with the solutions and acting with honesty, integrity and transparency. We remove the fear of the unknown. We provide cost plans up front. We can do feasibility studies before any in-depth analysis takes us too far down the process and you realise that you can't afford things. Anyway, if you have any referrals, please pass on my way. Again, it's Kieran Peaty, Studio 40. Thank you.
Thank you, Kieran. Richard Reed, followed by Emma.
Good morning, my name's Richard Reed, company's President of Travel Limited. I'm an independent travel consultant. Over the 20 plus years I've been doing this, I've developed preferred suppliers for every destination on the planet. Usually 2 to 3, always at least 2, so that I can counter down quotes. So if I put together a tailor-made itinerary, I bounce the same itinerary off of 2 or 3 suppliers, and then I work with the best one, the best match, the best price. If you work with a supplier that does multiple products in a destination, they will give you the best price. They will find you the best price because all the hotels, etc., in that destination are used to working with them, and they will be selling them thousands of room nights on a regular basis. So the bottom line is, who's going to give you the best price for this? If you go to a hotel direct for a price, you're not going to get as good a price as the supplier that sells standard room nights at that hotel. So it would actually save you money to use someone like me, these suppliers like that, to save you money in the long run. It's Richard, a prestige, great. A lifetime movie for you all.
Thank you, Richard. Emma, you're next followed by Mike Gibson.
Good morning, everybody. I'm officially the group's estate agent now, so thank you. So this week I've been concentrating on a couple of mine who have not had the easiest experience. The first time buyer pulled out, then the property flooded, so we've had a lot to overcome over the last few months. Yes, thank you, that was due to the storms. But with a lot of perseverance, determination and sheer pig-headedness on my part of the solicitors as well, we are now in a position to exchange this week, so I'm very, very chuffed with that. And actually, a couple of nights ago, there was a Facebook group asking for an estate agent, and she wrote on there, which I'm going to read out because it was the highlight of my week. 1000% recommend Emma and cannot shout it from the rooftops enough. She's genuine, professional, caring and friendly, and she goes above and beyond time and time again. So if you do know anyone looking to move this spring, which according to Rightmove is the best time to move, I'd love to hear from them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emma. Mike Hickson, followed by me.
Okay. Morning everyone, Mike Hickson from LSA Systems. Just to follow the theme, I'm the official IT professional within the group now. Just want to tell you a little bit about the business. Geographically, the customer that we have, which is furthest away from our office, is in Newcastle. And the customer we have, which is closest to our office, is downstairs in the same building. So we have a very wide spread across the country of customers. Our largest customer is a TV media organisation, which spends approximately £100,000 with us a year. Our smallest customer is a double glazing manufacturer in Southend that spends £28.50 a year. So we have a wide range of customer spend as well. We tend not to deal with the public because the products we supply are commercial grade and as such come with a commercial price, which is quite a bit higher than standard retail prices. So large or small, local or national, we have a solution. If you have contacts with a need that fit any of those descriptions above, send them our way. That's Mike Hickson from LSA Systems.
Thank you very much, Mike. I will be followed by Mike Skinner. The reason I am because he gave me a lift in this morning. Right. Aidan Squire from TM Law. P&O They're mass redundancy dramatically engineered. What have they done wrong? Well, they didn't consult and they didn't reoffer jobs. So undoubtedly that's unfair dismissal, but employers are doing it all over the country, just not quite on the same scale. A union official said with irritation that they wouldn't be backing any claims to the tribunal because they've offered settlement agreements that are more than they would expect to get from the tribunal. And it was sort of critical, but there you go. Individually, I think they've been reasonably, they've had to be generous in what they are offering as settlement agreements. I'm not privy to those, but if they were offered what on a good day would be a good day at the tribunal would be what they would get anyway, then nobody's going to take anyone to the tribunal. So they've got rid of everybody, even including cooks, and they've replaced them with an Indian crew from £9 an hour roughly to about £2 an hour or just under. So you can see the saving. At least P&O recognise the significance of the word too many chefs and not enough Indians.
Nobody else is going with
Right.
space music.
I've got that off my chest. Mike, you're next, followed by Toby.
Oh, where do I go from that? Right, I've got a little show and tell today. So this is the drone that I use for the vast majority of the filming products for the years. And whenever I get it out, the same thing comes up. It's Mike, that's really small. What can you even do with that? And there's a reason it's such a tiny drone, because I used to fly much larger drones for commercial works, and there's regulations that came in a couple of years ago. And any drone that weighs under 250 grams, which that does, can fly much, much closer to people, buildings, things like that, than the larger ones, which require more licensing, more paperwork. That puts out 4K images, 4K video, little gimbal on it, so it's all stabilised, gets really good quality, and that's why we use their small, handy drones. So I'm looking for clients that are needing aerial shots for businesses and events, like shots of their buildings for websites and things like that. Scene setting for other videos that I make, that I use it for a lot. Also do roof inspections for homeowners and commercial units. We've done the entire of Chelmsford Business Park. We went over that in a day, which probably would have taken them 2 to 3 weeks, sort of, if I was doing it all with heavy machinery. And also just photos for homeowners. That seems to be quite a good business if anyone's moving into a new property or moving out and wants aerial shots. So that's all to me. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Toby, you're followed by James.
A little lesson today, if you like. Could have done this for the end next week. I'm a member of another networking group. Other groups do exist. And a lady came along to this group who sold vegan pants, vegan underwear, specifically for women who'd had caesarean sections. Now, I'm probably never going to be her customer. I asked for a one-to-one with her anyway. She gave me 2 introductions. One of them became a client straight away. The other one introduced me to 3 people, an HR consultant, a recruitment consultant, and a lady who does video onboarding, all good referrals for me for motivational maps. The HR consultant has passed me 2 of her clients already. The video onboarding lady introduced me to an HR franchisee, and I'm in discussion with the franchise owner now, the franchise operations manager, about becoming a recommended supplier for them for motivational maps to the franchise. So the lesson there is never dismiss a one-to-one just because you don't want to buy vegan pants.
The advantage of vegan pants is if you eat them, you won't get any meat in your t-shirt. James, you're next, followed by
Hi, James from RMK Insurance. I'm going to try and bring it back to a normal 60-second round rather than vegan pants. Borderline. Anyway, no. Today I'm looking for anyone who, what my dad would describe as got a proper job. So comes home at the end of the day with dirty hands, not a soft office types. So anybody that works at height, depth, with heat, hazardous locations like airports, railways, people that work away from premises, anything where the liability is more than us soft office types. We've got a number of specialist markets that we can pick that up. And also, even if they think they're happy with the insurance, I'm happy to look at their insurance. Recently I've come across a plumbing and heating engineer that had a heat exclusion on his policy, and a tree surgeon that had an exclusion of tree felling. So, not always have you got what you thought you paid for. So, anyone that's going to look at it, review it, send it across to me, and we'll see what we can do.
Thanks, James. Will, you're next, followed by Colin.
Hello guys, so William Berner, commercial finance specialist for the group. What do? I've got three sort of legs, so to speak. One is an unregulated, where I work with sophisticated investors, creating income streams with inflation normally for 50 years plus for the pension funds. Then I have a regulated business where I'm working with SMEs, people who want to borrow money, for instance, expand their business loan. They have cash flow problems. They need equipment, they want to buy equipment, asset finance. Refurbishment, they've got an office, they just want to refurb it, and they get their type of loan. And then we've got a guy wants to buy a bit of land and develop it, so development finance. All straightforward. They've got a business, they want to build a new business, but they haven't got a plan. So we're building a plan and we go to the lenders to get them money. So that's the middle one. And then the last one, luckily, really is, I guess I'm a capital raiser. I raise capital for investors or people who want to raise capital to develop into other businesses. And then it predominantly backed by property investments behind it. So William Verner, Breakwood Commercial Advisors, commercial specialist. Thank you.
Colin, you're followed by Neil.
Morning, I'm Colin O'Connor. My company is Blue Planet Consulting, and we provide health and safety advice, training and support. And this week, one of our clients came to us. One of our clients is a construction company. They picked up a contract in London for a hotel in Russell Square. The smoke vents on the pavement, you see these in London all over the place, they're concrete slabs, they're 2 metres long, metre wide, they're leaking into the basement. So what they're going to do is lift those up and reseal them, which is going to make some nice big holes on the pavement ready for people to fall in, which is where we come in. So when we come in, we're writing a plan, doing a traffic management plan, reviewing all of the risk assessments, to make sure that our client complies with the construction design management regulations. So that's what we do. We help people. Colin O'Connor, Blue Planet Consulting. Thank you.
Thanks, Colin. Not everybody. Right, Neil, you're next.
Hi everybody, Neil from Millennium Event Catering. This year, unless you're like me, you're going to be, and a bit no mates, you're probably going to be invited to some parties this year. Your friends are going to say, I'm going to have a party, and I'm hoping you guys are all going to be saying, have you got a caterer? Are you having a barbecue? Because I know someone who is shit on. You might be invited to a wedding. Same questions need to be asked. Your corporate offices might be having a big summer sort of event, summer party, and you can say, we know a caterer, does festival style catering, does barbecue catering, and he does them en masse by the hundreds, by the thousands. So that's Neil from Millennium Event Catering. Happy to accept referrals, and see you next week. Thank you.
Yeah. Remember, he's shit hot.
Shit on.
Right. Thank you, Neil. Tina is next, followed by Nick Cook.
Good morning everybody, my name is Tina, my company is called Liberty Executive Services. I offer a secretarial and admin service. I'm based in Essex but cover locally and nationwide, supporting small businesses to being an extra pair of hands for a corporation that their staff are either off sick or they just need someone to replace but they don't know who. So that's where I come in. So this week I'm looking for any director or anybody actually that's been going around meeting their clients but then they're doing a report. But by the time I get back to the office it's quite late, that I can do that for them because they can dictate while they're being chauffeured around or after the meeting before they move off. So I can type up their notes and hand it to them or send it over via email the following day. So if you know anybody that needs an extra pair of hands, I'll be happy to help. So it's me, Tina, Liberty Executive Services. I'm not a 9 to 5, I'm a start to finish. And I'm an extra pair of hands.
Thank you very much, Tina. All of those things. Nick Cook is next, and he's followed by Jane.
Good morning, my name's Nick. As you know, I'm a structural engineer. I got a call from a young lady who'd seen a very, very run-down bungalow in Billericay recently. The walls were badly cracked, the floors were sloping. She and her partner were convinced it was subsidence, but they could see it had potential. So she asked me if I could carry out a survey to see exactly how bad the problems were and what could be done to fix them and how much would it cost to fix the place up. I said I could do that. She asked me for an example of a report that I'd done. Something similar, so that she could be confident that I was the person for the job. So I emailed her a couple of reports, which I've got set aside for this very reason. Obviously their names and addresses have been changed for protect the innocent, as they say. Anyway, I'd heard nothing from her for several days, so I called her up and I said, did you get the reports? And if you did, what did you think of them? And she told me exactly what she thought. She told me exactly, but I'm going to have to save the rest of this story till next week because I'm running out of time. My name's Nick, I'm a structural engineer. And carry out structural inspection. Thank you.
Man of Steel, anti-beams. Well done. Look forward to next week. Jane, you're next in your format.
Hello everybody, Jane Mallion from the English Cream Tea Company. So, name something my company sells. Who provides the best Christmas gifts ever?
Father Christmas. This is just open bribery.
Of course. Exactly. Who is giving out the Oscar today? When should you have thought of Mother's Day gifts?
Saturday.
Yeah, right. And I brought some emergency ones in case you're caught out, and they'll last because they're ambient. Tea, jam and scone or scone mix in a pretty basket. And then, so do let me know if you want one of those. Much reduced price. And finally, what is my middle name?
Stallion.
Italian.
Rhyme sweet.
Oh, that's cheating.
Did you say Cassandra? No.
You couldn't have made it up, could you? Thank you, Jane. Terry, you're next.
Good morning, everybody. Terry May from TM Law Solicitors. Had a phone call this week from a lady. She'd been referred from an estate agent, very much like that. That's not uncommon. She had a landlord and tenant problem, so she said she wanted to remove some tenants. I dug a bit further, found out why. And on the face of it, it was because they needed the house and some emergency electrical works needed doing. So we don't need to remove the tenants permanently, just need to get them out, accommodate them in a hotel, B&B, whatever, a few days, get the work done. No, she insisted she wanted the tenants out. And really, it was a ruse to get these tenants out who otherwise were legitimately should be there. So I had this conversation with her, advised her of that, and she still wouldn't keep coming round to the fact, no, we've got to get them out. So I politely declined the offer of the work from her, which I don't like doing, but you've got to know when to turn work away. And these people not only were going to be difficult, but also they were going to do something possibly illegal. And that's not the sort of thing I do at TM Law. So if you know anyone wants good, sensible, sound legal advice, you know where to send them. It's Terry Mogan, TM Law.
Thank you, Terry. John Hammond, followed by Paul Ballou.
Good morning, everybody. I'm John Hammond from JMH Technology. We install all types of security systems, from your intercoms to your fire alarms and everything in between. This week, we won a big contract for a private school in Sevenoaks. And you say, how did we get involved in a private school in Sevenoaks? Well, the maintenance manager there used to be the maintenance engineer at a secure mental health institute. And when he took over the managership, he realised he was being ripped off by the previous company. So he asked us to do a report on why their system was going down all the time. And we did a report, and we ended up having to sit with the board of the school to explain our findings. And it's all because the system was not being repaired when they did the service calls. So now we've got the complete order to refurbish the whole system. Probably 3 times the amount of we actually put on our report, because they want it done, and they want it done right. So if you want it done, we're here. JMH Technology, applying technology to security.
Paul Ballou and Scott to follow.
Good morning everyone, Paul DeLue, Redvine Limited. We're a communications agency and we help businesses communicate clearly and effectively. So during the last week I've been doing something I always enjoy, which is creating a presentation for a client. Now my first question to the client when being asked to do something, asked to create a presentation is, who is it to? Their answer in this instance was, well, it's for some investors. But who is it to? Well, it's some investors. So, yeah, but are they big investors? Are they small investors? Are they grannies and granddads that have got spare cash? They're more the latter than the former. So that's my starting point, because in the same way that if you were to go to a school and give a presentation to small children, you'd need to change the language than if you were to go to a big investment fund in the city with very technically minded people. So when creating a presentation, the key factor is who is it to? And that's the starting point for me, and that's why clients come to me and ask me to help them with presentations. Paul DeLue, Redvine Limited, communications agency, help businesses communicate clearly and effectively.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Scott, you're followed by Stuart.
Good morning everyone, Dr. Scott from SEO. Those of you on the WhatsApp could have seen me busy in QR code mode this week. So it's just something that could and should be added to your websites, but it could also be added to your email signatures, put onto the back of your business card. There's a ton of uses for QRs, so are you using them? I've created them for all of you now. I've used the information you have got on your EBF profile page. So if you haven't got your profile page up to date, it's your fault. Your QR code has what you have supplied on it. So if you've completed it and you use that image, then you get the full amount added to someone's phone and they zap that code. But if you know someone, if you want to add a QR code to your contacts page or on any websites or anything like that, speak to me for all things QR. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Scott. Stuart, you're followed by Paul.
Good morning everybody, Stuart from LG Networks. My daughter turned 18 years old a couple of weeks ago. The only reason that's relevant is because a couple of weeks ago after she was born I came along to my first meeting. So in that 18 years that I've been coming here, I have dealt with businesses of all shapes and all sizes, of all locations and all budgets. And with regards to business telecommunications, which is what we specialise in, there's very little or very few scenarios that we've not come across before. We're looking for businesses that need help with their telecommunications, that need help with their private internet services, or any of their voice or data networking needs. In that time, we've helped a lot of the people in this room and a lot of the businesses related to businesses in this room. And that's what we're looking to do more of over the next few years as well. So if you or anyone that you're dealing with, struggling with business telecommunications, internet services, anything to do with your business telephony, please put in touch with me, Stuart at LG Networks. Just re-signed for a 19th year. Wasn't it?
Thank you, Stuart. With you here today, we've technically got the naughty corner back again with you and Paul. Oh, you are. I was going to say, you tend to regard yourself as such. Right, Paul. Sorry, last one up.
Yeah, morning, Paul Booth from Booth & Chartered Certified Accountants based in Brentwood. There was the Chancellor's Spring statement yesterday, so if anyone's got any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me. This last week, we've taken quite a few new clients, lots of small ones. So there was a new limited company from yesterday, Groundworks. We took on a physiotherapist a few days prior to that, and then earlier on in the week, personal tax client, and the mother of a new client where their accountant had died suddenly and needed a new accountant. So lots of new clients. We have lots of different clients, big or small, all we've got moving code, minimize tax.
Are you going into the competition?
I'm pleased to be able to say that we've got got 23 people here today, and the reason I have amended that is because Sarah didn't put her name down, but Sarah can now go.
Too early. Sarah Steele, Best with Money. I am the financial education specialist for the group. So primarily we work with employers who want to provide education for their employees to reduce money stress. So this week will come as no surprise our two main topics that everybody's wanted to hear about. First one is making the most of tax allowances, so putting into their ISAs, putting into their pensions, making the most of the exempt gifts from inheritance tax before the end of the tax year, so we've been educating employees about that. But of course the other one, and this is going to run all year, is the cost of living and how people can re-budget to take account of the fact that national insurance is going up, the fact that energy is going up, council tax always goes up at this time of year, and all the rest of it. So if you know any employers who are feeling like they want to look after their employees in these difficult times and give them some education about what they can do with their finances, then please refer them to me. That's Sarah Steele from Better with Money.
Sarah.
What are you going to do?
Thank you very much.
Yes, good.
Right, that's the members all done. Of course, Hannah is with us again, and she can give us 60 seconds, please.
Thank you for having me again. I'm Hannah O'Shea, helping people with their social media. As a lot of you know, I've been helping Jane with her TikTok account, and we began a week ago and we've already got over 1 million views. That's just in 7 days. I can't promise everyone 1 million views in that time frame, but I can help you get started on the right direction, whether it's Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest. This is all about creating a real engagement with the right target audience. I can do it for you or with you. Just get in touch. Yeah, that's Hannah O'Shea, taking the hassle out of your social media. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hannah. That does bring to the end the 60-second round. Unless there's somebody else around here who has owning up for not sticking their name down. No? All right. Mike, over to you.
Well, quite a boring morning, really. I scored everybody out of 10. The scores go 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. A few people scored more than 7. Aidan scored 8, but he's timed out, so he can't win. But it's good to see him on such good form today. 8 out of 10 for Mike Skinner for being brave enough to admit that he's got a tiny drone. But I didn't give it to him because he's won plenty of times already. James was then next winner for being very, very good, very informative. And he was then equalled by Colin, who also got 8 out of 10 for being very good. Neil did okay, but he used a naughty word, so I disqualified him.
I use a lot of naughty words.
Jane, she always wins, and I can't be bothered with a silly little bit of chocolate like that. So. And then the leader after that was Stuart for telling us what he's done and what he does, and he's been doing it for 18 years. And then the equal winner at the last minute was Sarah, who was very, very good. So Stuart and Sarah have both got 9 out of 10 and have both won. But I can't give it to 2 people. I don't want to fight for it, so I'll give it to Sarah.
Shall they both get points?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mike. Well done, Sarah and Stuart. It just goes to show you've got to get yourself noticed, as somebody said in relation to 60 seconds, and Sarah's just demonstrated the way to do it. Well done. Excellent. Thank you, Mike. One of the advantages of you awarding it to somebody else is you won't be awarding it next week, and therefore we won't have all the palaver. Right. That's the end of the 60-second round, and so we move on. We move on to the meeting secretary's report, traditionally, and that we'll do it today. Scott.
Just an observation today. tons of you have got really out-of-date and incomplete member profile pages on the EBF website. There are members who I don't have photographs for, there are members who don't have a business description, there are members without email addresses, telephone numbers, or any means for anyone who does come across the website to actively, properly get in touch and understand who you are. To get that sorted out, when you join as a member, I do ask for all that stuff, and I do put it on the site, and my time is covered off at that point by EBF, by your membership, to get that work done. But after that, it's on me, and if you need to get updated, you probably need to buy me a beer or something, and we'll figure that out. But do have a look at your profile. Do try and make it as complete as possible. Do consider what pictures can you have in your photo gallery. What are your testimonials? How can we advertise your business through our channel, which is a busy, effective website. Some of the most busy pages on our website are, for example, Nick Cook's page, Brian Painter's page, and in the top 3 pages visited on the entire profile. The homepage comes first, and then I think it's Nick, and then I think it's Brian. So it really works for you guys, and you've got good profile pages. But the rest of you, it's all.
Thank you very much, John. Right. There was a synergy team meeting this week, which I was hoping to go to, but then I have people down the car. I didn't. Richard, tell us.
This is the consumer. Synergy was on Monday. We had 4 attendees. We had 9 apologies, one very late one. You would be legal, I think, if you come.
I would.
Yeah, great meeting. It went very well. Thought that I think got quite a bit from it. You always do at these meetings. You always find out something new about the people that are there. So we had a natter for about an hour and a half, and I think we were coming off and we learned a little bit more about each other's businesses and each other as individuals. So if you want to come to the next one, it's the 3rd Monday of every month. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Richard. Right. We now seamlessly move to the 10-minute presentation. And I have a bio sheet here, one of those more embarrassing documents that we have at the group. And let me give you some details. It's TM Law, the position in the company of Terry, who is the speaker today, is anyone that you like. Nature of the business is solicitors, and location everywhere. He's provided some personal information which is quite interesting. A bad personal experience with food was eating green chicken in Thailand. Now that's not a Thai green, it was genuinely a green chicken, and that left him with Montezuma's revenge for at least 2 days in Phuket, which is what he said when he realised he'd got it. Something that winds him up when the power in his taser fails, and we've got a downturn mouth on an emoji. Next is a prized possession, that's his debt collection tools, most of them power ones, and how he relaxes is suing people, and we've got an emoji with a smile on his face. Right, from that you'll probably gather that our 10-minute speaker this week is Terry.
Thanks, Dave. Not quite the same introduction I was hoping from Ben to do, I guess. So obviously I'm Terry, TM Law, and I'd just like to give you a quick rundown of the team. There's me, and I do the litigation or agro work. We've got Aidan, who you all know, and Aidan does the commercial work, commercial leases, commercial agreements, wills and probate, and general non-agro work. We've got a man called David Game, who is a solicitor, coincidentally Aidan's next door neighbour. Would you believe it? What's the chances of that? He deals with probate with Aidan and also deals with the larger commercial transactions, so Aidan's not on his own. We've got an elder gentleman called Terry Gaffney, who's been with us for 11, 12 years, and he deals with the finishing off of things, so registration of documents and finishing things off. And then we've got the lovely Tina, who's part of our team, and we couldn't really do without. She does lots of admin for me and Aidan, and she also does the occasional bit of service for us, don't you, Tina?
Oh, yeah.
She wears her Nikes, not Nighties, when she does that. Like on her toes, like on her toes. So that's the team. So the work that I do with the litigation work, which essentially I term agro work.
It's any dispute sort of work within it. And I wanted to talk to you today about two parts of that work. One is, really it's commercial disputes, and I wanted to talk to you about two parts of commercial disputes. So a commercial dispute is anything like Stuart might have a dispute with his supplier or somebody he's supplied services to. He might have a dispute over goods that are either getting supplied because they're defective or they're missing or they're en route out on the sea somewhere. So any kind of commercial dispute, sometimes property disputes, again, commercial, not residential. So commercial disputes are really good business to me. And once they hit my desk, there are really only two ways they can go. The first way is litigation. You've all heard of the term. Well, briefly, it just means you end up in court. There are court proceedings. That's what litigation means. And litigation is not good for a number of reasons. And I'm going to outline them today, and I'm going to tell you about some other options. The first thing is litigation is really expensive. I mean, prohibitively expensive. You have to have very deep pockets to litigate. The court fees alone now are anything up to £10,000 just to issue a claim. So if you're owed some money, for example, it's either 5% of what you're owed up to a maximum of 10 grand. And I very often have 10 grand court fees. Clients owe £200,000 or £300,000, court fee 10 grand. And that's just to start it, that's before you pay me. And then at the end of the case, you've got a listing fee. So if you want a hearing for the case, you've got to pay the court another 1,100 quid. So they're just the court fees. Then you've got solicitors who ain't cheap, and you usually have to have a barrister who'll do the presentation. So all in all, it's a very expensive day or 2 or 3 out. So that's one of its downsides. It's very stressful. Not for me. I love it. It's what I do. But for you guys or the business owners, it's very stressful. I've had some clients say whenever they get a letter from me, their stomach turns, they get sick with worry about it, and that's generally the stress they're suffering from it. And also, it's time consuming. If you're dealing with a litigation matter for your business, you're not getting paid for that. You're dealing with a solicitor, you're looking through, wading through documents, and you're not getting paid for that, so you're losing a lot of time from that. So that's another downside. One of the other sides is the length of time you can take. Court cases, I used to say you sort of resolve it within about a year. Well, let's redo that. Now, if you do it within a year, you'll be very lucky. And also, the court have got a habit at the last minute, and I mean literally the day before your hearing, they'll phone you and I dread it. Yeah, your case tomorrow, Mr. Malin, yeah? Yeah, sorry, we haven't got a judge, we're going to have to adjourn it. Okay, not a lot I can do about it, but they adjourn it for anything up to a year. I had 2 cases, they literally adjourned it for a complete year. And you're ready for your case tomorrow, and suddenly it's a year's time. It's outrageous, but there it is. Uncertainty. Litigation is a very uncertain thing, which is great for me, because I don't have to give you too strong an opinion about whether you're going to win or not, right? But some cases, I can tell you, yeah, we're going to win that case all day long. I'm very confident we're going to win it. But even the most confident cases have got what's called a litigation risk. And a litigation risk is about 20% risk of losing, even if you've got a case that told you you're going to win. And that revolves around this. During a case, lots of things come out. We might have a case together with Sarah, and you're starting to give your evidence, and something comes out, and suddenly that very small point gets expanded. And before you know it, it's a really important point on the case, and it can even overturn what the court's going to be the decision. And it does happen, thankfully not too often, but sometimes a small, insignificant point blows up and everyone makes a deal of it. So you've got to be really careful about litigation. It's an uncertain beast. So for all of those reasons, as you would guess, it's not an attractive option. Sometimes you have no choice, okay, but it's not a particularly attractive option. So what do you do instead? Well, recently, in the last few years, alternative dispute resolution, it's like an umbrella term, has become quite a big thing. And I call them the shuns because they are negotiation, arbitration, adjudication, and mediation. So all the shuns, and there's various different ones. But the main type of shun that I deal with is mediation. And mediation works very simply. You get the parties together in one venue. Sometimes it's by Zoom actually, but you get them together in one venue. They all have separate rooms with a mediator in the middle, keeping them apart so they're not headbanging. That's basically what a mediation is. But its advantages are, and compare these to what I've just told you about litigation, it's cheap. About £2,000 or £3,000, so that's not free, but it's cheap compared to what I've just told you about litigation. And it can be quickly arranged. If you agreed to have a mediation today, we could probably get the actual mediation heard within 3 or 4 weeks. We've got to choose a mediator, choose a venue, get some dates everybody can make. But other than that, 3 to 4 weeks compared to what I've just told you about litigation. It's less stressful, much less stressful, because you're in a building. The mediator generally keeps you apart, because I've seen what happens if he doesn't. So generally it keeps you apart, but not always. There are occasions when it's not appropriate and they do meet. So it's much less stressful. It's very informal. There's no dressing up, there's no judge, there's no rules. A mediation can be however you want it to be. So it's really very informal. So you'll see, you'll have worked out by now that in fact it's almost the opposite of litigation. But the result should be the same. You should resolve your dispute. It's got a very high success rate. Okay, I've done over 200 mediations now, and about 15 to 20 haven't settled. And they don't settle usually because one of the parties is totally unreasonable. There are some members in the room here who've probably done mediations with me, some ex-members have as well. And it's very rare where they fail. They usually fail if one party is totally unreasonable. They'll sit there for 3 or 4 hours with their arms folded, not saying a word. You're never going to do that. And why are they there? Well, they're there just to tick the box and say, yeah, I've tried to mediate this judge, and nothing in the mediation can be repeated to the judge, so they've got away with it. So for all those reasons, mediation is really good, and I always recommend it to my clients. However, and there's always a but, I always say to my clients, if we reach an agreement at mediation, it's not going to be one you're happy with. If you're happy with it, something's not worked right. Yeah? You shouldn't be coming out of mediation hot, skipping and jumping. But if it's a deal you say, yeah, I can live with that and I can move on, then that's a really good settlement. You know, if it's still not happy about it, not unhappy about it, I can live with it. We've done a really good job. Any agreement that's reached at the mediation is written out, or some of these youngsters turn up and they type it out on their phones or computers. But anyway, it's an agreement that's actually prepared, and everybody who's present signs it. So the mediator, all the parties, the lawyers, and that becomes a binding agreement. So if one party woke up the next day and decided, you know what, I don't think that's such a good deal, it's still binding on them, and you could actually enforce that agreement. So you can't, there's no spending a whole day there, waking up the next morning and the whole thing be off. And then lastly, if mediation fails to reach agreement, you can still continue with litigation. So just because the mediation fails, everything that's said in the mediation is private, and you can then carry on with the court case. So I highly recommend it, and there are other shuns, but mediation is extremely successful. Any questions? Will?
When you go to a mediation, can you both agree to the result from the mediator?
No.
Before you go into
the mediator's job is just to negotiate, just to help facilitate the agreement. He or she won't impose anything on you.
What type of dispute goes to mediation?
Anything and everything, from a neighbour dispute to a personal injury claim to a commercial dispute. Generally, you want the more valuable disputes because obviously they're the biggest saving in terms of cost. But really anything for a personal injury case, a boundary dispute, boundary/neighbour dispute, and they are very successful. There's a lot of language in that one, so yeah, anything. Scott?
Would you be able to put an average kind of settlement? You would say you to be happy with something, you'd make a compromise. Do you, on average, compromise at half a value, or 75% or 20%, or is it just different?
Do you know what? That every case is different. People often ask me that, the client, and I say to them, if you go there with a preconceived idea that you're going to get half or 2/3, it won't work. You have to go there with an open mind, and during the you have to have a figure in your mind. You're not going to go below, for example. But if you go there with a set preconcept, I want at least half my claim or at least 2/3, generally it won't settle. Because that rigidity is what stops it settling. Because there's lots of other things. You've got cost, time, stress. All the things I've told you about the litigation, the mediator uses them to then keep closer together. So there isn't any, it's a short answer. Thank you. Mike?
What sort of person does the mediator? Is it a judge?
I'm not being sarcastic when I say it, it's a mediator. But I tell you what, Mike, on all seriousness, I tend to choose people who are professional mediators rather than solicitors or barristers. And I tell you why, solicitors or barristers are so opinionated. As a mediator, they generally are not the best mediators. You want someone who that's their job. I think Toby would make an excellent mediator, someone like yourself. I do. I think because you've got to be able to say to people, show both sides and edge them together very gently and very nicely. A solicitor or barrister, the hope is that. Yeah, but look, you're just wrong. That's not good. So yeah, that's the mediator. It's good.
Say from an occurrence where an agreement is made in principle at the end of the mediation, and then when parties retire, they always get, actually on reflection,
not doing that.
Yeah, I've had one or two, but they've signed a binding agreement at mediation. So if you've agreed to pay £50,000 at mediation, you've signed to agree and you don't. Guess what comes next? Litigation. Oh.
If you try and if one of your customers or clients says to somebody that they're in dispute with, I want to meet them, and that person refuses, does that reflect badly if it goes to litigation that person's?
Yeah, what happens is you can't force someone to go to mediation, but if they unreasonably refuse, there are cost consequences. And that sounds like quite a nice phrase, but it's actually really sinister. What it means is you could get hammered by a judge on costs. And so if you took a case to court and you lost, but you said, but Judge, I've tried to mediate and the other side refused unreasonably, you could still get your costs even though you lost.
Right.
So the cost consequences can be quite drastic. Jane?
So we've been sued, and this was when we had a client for a wedding, when we were wedding caterers, and the groom ran off with someone else in advance, and we didn't give back the deposit to the bride, because we had had 18 meetings with them, but our times were something. Anyway, it went to court, the person suing us lost, but within 5 days they brought out another court case with slightly different wording. Is that common, to have another bite at the cherry if you lose first time? Oh, good.
So you can say, you can argue that in reality you might change the wording around, but it's the same cause of action, it's an abuse of the process. And that can be very bad for them.
Of course, don't like that.
Colin?
What sort of time does the processes take? Sort of mediation compared to litigation?
Yeah, mediation is really quick. So if you said today I want to mediate a dispute, we'd usually try to get it on within 3 or 4 weeks. Got to agree mediation, venue, and then dates everyone can make. Pretty quick. I told you how long litigation takes. It's no brainer really. It's certainly always worth trying, because if it fails, and they do fail from time to time, but if it fails, the court case can still continue and you can say, well, I've tried. So, there you go.
Terry, thank you very, very much indeed. Sorry, no more questions. Right, we're now on to the referrals and testimonials round. And I can genuinely say that we'll start with the naughty corner and work our way around.
Well, yeah, well done. Brilliant. Always referral for James. Thank you, money for Scott. Thank you. And no more forms. Thank you.
Morning everybody, so I've been away for a couple of weeks, I'm back in towards the end of the chair. With you Terry, for me, it's the first time I ever had to sue anybody. I thought I'd do it myself, how hard can it be? 6 weeks later I had proceedings turn up against me, I filled in the wrong box and formed sued myself. and since then we've used Terry. Actually in the last 2 months, last 2 months he's got 2 outstanding debts back for us, full costs, full recovery. Actually vital part of our toolbox now. Referral for Nick, which we were talking about this morning for Richard. I'll send that over to you. But, other than that, good meeting.
Good morning. I had a one-to-one with Tina. She showed me how to use the website and everything. So, yes, that was lovely. Do I keep it? Yes, that's me.
Great meeting as always. Really interesting, Terry. Thoroughly enjoyed that chat. I've just got one thing to say really. This week I found myself in a situation where I had quite a sensitive letter to send out to my customer base. Fretted about it for about 24 hours. Sent an email to a member of the group, Paul. Within half an hour he came back with a draft of the letter I should send out. Absolutely fantastic. Great work. Thank you. Big shout out to Paul. Yes, thanks, yeah.
Really enjoyed that, Terry. Can I ask one question? Do you do financial mediation on divorce? Right. So I'm not getting forced by that.
Everything's like my robust approach to family matters.
Anyway, it's lovely to see you again, Hannah. And this week I had a one-to-one with Mel, which was really interesting. Not here today, but no, really enjoyed the meeting. And lovely to see you.
No, that's great, sorry, really enjoyed that. I think we could have done about 10 more minutes of question and answer there.
Yes.
One-to-one with Jane today, and thank you for sorting out my Mother's Day gift.
You're welcome.
And a referral for William. Oh, it's the right one, isn't it? No, I don't know where that is. Lost.
Yeah, great meeting. Great export, Paul. Things nobody else mentioned it, and yeah, great 10 minutes. Funny you should say about mediation. I have been involved in mediation for a couple of clients, one of which I've advised, one I fronted on. And what you said about winning, this client was really upset because he's adamant he wanted to win. And this isn't about winning, it's about getting a settlement. And it really didn't go well because he wouldn't change that attitude despite the advice. So maybe I'll look at becoming a mediator. I've got a referral for Auntie Jen for somebody that may be able to help her monetise this fantastic TikTok that she's got now, and I've got a one-to-one with Matt later, assuming he's not too busy. Finally managed to track him down. And also I'd like to have a chat with our mortgage man over there because I've got to fill up my car with petrol and I might need Thank you.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, lovely good meeting. I think meetings for the spring and the step today did actually. It felt a lot more bubbly, which was nice. I had a really memorable meeting with Mike, obviously, last week, as he didn't mention it. And one-to-one with Beth as well. I still have to fill out a couple of things online, so I've got and a business venture I've got for Terry and Colin. If you can point out what the holes are that haven't been checked already. I spent 20 years playing football, so I can fall over and not hurt myself, and then I'll come and see you. So yeah,
Make a synergy group, come on.
Great meeting, really good too. It's one of those you do really have so many questions to ask on that, email me next time. It's something very useful to know. I just want to say thanks to Mike, really good referral. I was speaking to a couple of developers and also to Melissa, who's giving a very interesting case to work on about advice on breach of covenant and jurisdiction, all in the finance world. So that's very, very good. Looking for some one-to-ones, which I'll send out some invites over the next couple of hours. And one thing I'm on the lookout for help, I need a lift afterwards to get somewhere to a station. Now I've got Scott's giving me to Brentwood, but it's only down near Shenfield station. I really would appreciate if they've got me up. Yeah, you sure? Okay. I've got all the tests done, okay. So I appreciate that.
Really good 10 minutes, and it is great doing the summons, because by the time I hand them, get back in the car or on the train, let Terry know, and they've actually found him up. Some of them have complained, and some of them have paid up.
That woman is really horrible. She meant to do this.
Thank you for the money for Terry. I will do it on the system as well, and I'll see you all next week.
Excellent meeting as always, Terry. Brilliant attendance. Oh, sorry. Really good, interesting attendance actually, and yeah, great meeting. I really enjoyed it. So in the last week, wasn't here last week because I was with Paulie. I had one-to-ones with Mel. I have a weekly, daily, sometimes one-to-one with Scott. And a brief one-to-one with Matt, who's recovering from COVID, and Mike Hickson. It's an absolute pleasure to be able to help you, and I'm really glad that help relieve that pressure and so forth. Thank you for the money to Scott, for a client that he introduced me to, that I'm still working on. That's a referral for Scott for my email and Google Tools, and then this is a referral for Vince. Well, if you run it down the cancel, it's just near the roundabout. Referrals for Vince to prints and presentations, and even though he's got COVID, he's actually coming to the car park at 8:30 to drop them off. So full credit to him for still doing that even though it's poorly. So see you all next week. Thanks very much. Oh, sorry, and Hannah, have a one-to-one. Terry, fantastic presentation, well done. Used you a few times. First class, amazing service on each of those, so thank you very much. Stuart, 19 years.
Blimey. I was old enough, no,
For Paul, introducing him to a client that he introduced to me via Howard, so that could be quite interesting. It's nice to work on a project that isn't toilets and horrible stuff. It's to do with squid balls and lovely, nice things. So that's that. It's all make a splash. Yeah. Great meeting.
That's what I had a feel with you. Thanks, Terry. Yeah, good, excellent 10 minutes, and he got the right response from lots of questions. I had a one-to-one with Ben, and he was fine, but he said he started to feel a bit sniffly and wasn't feeling too good, and I think he might have gone down with a bit of COVID. So that's a one-to-one with Ben. Thanks for the 10 minutes, Terry.
I went to a senior meeting with Richard, it was really good. I encourage you all to get along. I know you haven't been, get along to senior meetings.
Good meeting. Will, if you start walking down, you'll be fine.
Thank you.
I guess it's got nothing to do with anything, but a friend of mine has just had to clear sort his brother's estate because his brother died of cancer. But his brother was so scared of what Putin's doing that he turned his flat into a nuclear bunker. And when he went in to clear out the flat, in one room it was an arsenal. He found 24 machetes, big daggers, half a dozen handguns and a machine gun. He went into the next room and it was stacked floor to ceiling with tinned food in case he had to shelter from the nuclear attack. Unfortunately, it's too late because he's dead, but he didn't realise that because his flat was on the 14th floor of a tower block in London, probably wouldn't have been all that effective anyway. Anyway, on that happy note, I'll see you all next week.
We're right 10 minutes. Great. 10 minutes, very effective. I talk very positive about Terry. He comes across, he's very good at what he does at the bottom. And he'll tell you if you've got a case that's working, so you're not straight up like, before you pay any money out, will give you a straight yes or no.
Can you reverse that a bit?
No. It's great meeting everyone. Good to see you as I did on Monday. Just mention that. See you next week. Good to see you.
Excellent meeting as always, Terry. You're brilliant. And thank you, Stuart, for that referral. I'm working on a couple myself. Hopefully they'll come to some kind of fruition in the next week or two. See you all next week.
Yeah, great presentation, Terry. I'm absolutely desperate for an occasion where I can utilise your skills to speak so highly of you. But well done. Really enjoyed that. Great Ed slot as well, Paul. Thank you. Welcome. Nice to meet you, Hannah. Hope to see you again. Lovely to be back. Unfortunately, I need to re-familiarise myself with the best place to sit for the 8 people. Great meeting. See you next week.
You're either baked blind as it's.
Yeah, great meeting, fantastic 10 minutes, Terry. I was unfortunate enough to use Terry's services when he employed me, and it was really successful. He came out as a winner, so he's great on that. Nice to see you, Anna. I'll talk to you or get your details so I can email you. I've got a landlord's insurance for James, which you should have the electronic copy for that, and that's been done, I think. Paul, move our accounts, should have that. Colin for risk assessments and method statements and health and safety policy. And another one for Colin, which is Goldberg Homes paid for a service call, which you referred us to. That's it. Keep getting little ones to them, so it's only a little one because we're just passing, so we didn't charge nobody else. And I will see you all next week. Oh, and there was one for Jane, but she's already had the white slip for Mother's Day. Even though I left it late.
It was backhanded.
Great meeting, thanks very much. See you next week.
a great meeting, a really interesting attendance, so that was really interesting. And a great expert there for me. Thank you for that. Thank you, John. Hopefully Goldberg are now a good client. So hopefully they'll be useful.
Should we get payments as well?
Yeah. But, hopefully that will work out.
Yeah.
And I'll see you all next week.
Thank you for having me again. It's been really great and great 10 minutes there. It was really interesting and hopefully I'll see you next week.
Yes, I thought that was fabulous. And going to court is very surreal and strange. When we ended up in court with this strange man who sat rocking and going, the judge kept telling him to shut up, and after another so it didn't do him any good, glad to say. Do I put that I brought a visitor? Does that count? Or don't
It's
know?
already done.
But thank you. Synergy meeting, Mike Skinner 1-to-1. Thank you. John Hammond for a green tea gift to was sending out today. Mike Skinner for a gift that we've delivered. Thank you. And if anybody wants one of these, normally $33.25 today. Thank you.
Sorry, that miles away. Thank you very much, Terry. Doing the running. Right, we come virtually to the end of the meeting, but it's this stage that I throw the meeting open to anybody who wants to make an announcement. But before I do, quick committee meeting after this, just out there, just quickly. Anybody want to make any announcements? Tina?
I forgot to say we want to come with Emma.
Right. Paul?
The EBF rearranged Christmas do. Brian's just sent an email around, so you might have seen it already. He said Friday the 15th of April. Yes.
That's Easter Friday.
Apparently, but that's what he said. So 6:30 p.m. for 7 p.m.
Right. Well, provided that's right, let's get there. Right. In the absence of any further announcements, may I bring the meeting to a close in this beautiful sunshine. Thank you all. James, you said it was a bit more lively this time, and it's very simple. There were 2 extra people here from last week. It makes I'm not joking, we are full, and it makes a difference. So let's try and keep these attendances up. We've got lots of people ill, so we should be able to do that, Scott.
Hannah, could you, via Jane perhaps, send around your contact information to members? I know we haven't got cards from you yet, but it would just be useful for us to be able to get in touch.
Okey doke. That therefore, I'm letting you loose on the world, bring the meeting to an end. It's great to see you and I look forward to seeing you all next week.